3 years. That's the longest a district can go without reevaluating your student, unless both sides agree otherwise, and we'll get to that. The number of new tests the federal rule requires inside that window? 0. One paragraph of that rule lets a team run no new tests at all. The same paragraph turns that into a violation if you skip the wrong thing, park that.
This is Erica, at least once every 3 years. 300.303, paragraph B, item 2.
Yeah. Child find, timelines, consent, that was the front door. Today, the same student walks back through it, 3 years older.
Leo here. Look at the other end of that rule because everybody quotes the ceiling and nobody quotes the floor. A reevaluation may occur not more than once a year, unless the parent and the public agency agree otherwise. So a district can't test a child into the ground, and a parent can't demand a fresh battery every semester either. That cap even carries its own heading in the text. It's called the
limitation. Paragraph B is headed limitation.
Limitation, which is a strange word for a protection. It keeps the kid off the testing table and it keeps the district off the hook for testing on demand.
2 things start the clock. The agency decides the child's needs warrant it, or a parent or a teacher asks. Paragraph A.
3 years is a ceiling. It was never a schedule.
Watch what most teams actually do. The triennial comes due, somebody books the school psychologist, and the child loses 3 or 4 mornings to a battery that mostly reconfirms what the file already says. Everybody signs it, everybody files it, and nobody asks whether any of it was required. The rule orders a reevaluation. It does not order a test.
The data review is never optional though. Leo, this is the piece people skip past. Every reevaluation opens the same way, with the team pulling what it already holds. Parent reports, classroom and state assessments, the progress data you report all year, teacher observations.
300.305, paragraph B says that review can happen without a meeting.
Parent and agency can also agree the whole reevaluation is unnecessary. Then it doesn't happen at all. No review, no testing, nothing. The only true skip in the rule, and it takes both sides, not one, which is either a gift or a trap depending on who's.
Month 8 of One Guitar Song, Leo. You're our authority on traps.
7 months. It's a hard song, and the bridge is.
Wait, if the team already has enough data, can they skip the testing entirely?
Hang on, that question has 2 halves, and the second half is where districts lose hearings.
Then we take both halves at the desk. Nobody is born knowing which half is which, and I got it wrong for years. Erica, you're taking the first one. Real quick, because this next part matters to you. If any of this is helping, tap that like button, then hit subscribe and ring the bell so the next one finds you. Both are free and take about a second, but they tell the algorithm to show this to one more person who needs it. Professor Iwata is at the desk with us for this part because it's the stretch of the rule where I slow down and read every word. You can skip the assessments. You can never skip the review.
Paragraph D is the skip clause then. Team says no more data needed, and the reevaluation is done.
Almost. Paragraph D ends the assessment question. It does not end the reevaluation. The review under paragraph A already happened, and that review is what produced the determination in the first place.
Notice, and the reason. 300.305 paragraph D makes the agency send both of those home the moment it decides no additional data are needed.
And read the next step across, because paragraph D only says notify. Deciding not to evaluate is a refusal, and 300.503 says a refusal goes to you in writing.
Read that back. The skip is not silent. It's a letter. Somebody in that building has to write down why they are not testing your kid.
Cleanest route for a team, honestly. I mean cleanest if the reasons are actually written down.
I'll walk anybody through how that notice works cold. The sub-item letters I don't know from memory and I won't guess them at a table. So we pulled the page before we sat down. Paragraph D, item 1, sub-item 2.
Parents can request the assessment anyway. Sub-item 2 is the sentence that says so. The notice has to tell them they have the right to request an assessment to determine whether the child continues to be a child with a disability.
Hold on, back up. There are two under item 1. Which one is the parent's right?
The second. 1 is the determination and the reasons. 2 is the parent's right to ask.
Count the new assessments the federal rule requires when the team already has enough data? 0.
0 mornings out of class for a kid who is already fine.
Sure, but can the parent still force the testing?
The notice tells them they can ask.
Ask or get.
Get. And if the district still says no, that refusal has to come back as written notice you can challenge. The sentence stops protecting them the moment the parent asks.
Cynthia, put the two sides up because teams mix them into one sentence and then argue about which one they meant.
On the must-do side, review the existing data, send the notice, get consent before any new testing, honor a parent's request, and evaluate before you exit a student from eligibility. On the may skip side, new assessments and the triennial itself when both sides agree.
Add the row most teams miss because it draws the same line twice. A different section, 300.300, says consent is not required to review existing data and is required before you administer anything new.
Oh, that's the whole episode in one sentence. Review, no consent needed, test, consent needed.
That right-hand column is where I'd get careful, and I'll say why. A review-only reevaluation freezes your present levels on data that is already a year or two old. Then a services argument shows up in the spring, and the only numbers on the table are the ones you decided not to refresh. You are not out of compliance. You are out of ammunition, and those are different problems that feel identical at the table. I can see where this is going every single spring.
You're right, and that is the honest cost of the shortcut. If the team can see a services fight coming, run one targeted assessment in the domain that will be argued. The rule permits the skip. It never recommends it.
There's a bigger skip too, and it needs agreement from both sides, not a decision from one. Parent and agency can agree the reevaluation itself is unnecessary, and then no reevaluation happens on that cycle, though either trigger in paragraph A can still start one tomorrow.
Erica, does the 3-year clock restart when a team runs a review with no testing in it?
Restart from what though? The eligibility determination or the last time anybody actually administered a test? 2 different answers.
The eligibility determination.
Here's the ruling. It restarts. A review with no new tests is still a reevaluation. What the federal rule never fixes is which date your state counts from, so open your state manual for that one.
Can I tell you the case I keep coming back to on this one?
The one where the notice actually did something? Go.
Take this composite example. A 4th grader, call her Priya, in a mid-sized district, triennial due sometime in the spring, thick file, and current.
Current how? Data from that fall, or data from 2 Aprils ago?
That fall. Reading probes, a speech log, 2 teacher observations. The team ran the review, found no additional data were needed, and sent the notice home. Priya's mother read the whole thing, saw the line about the right to request an assessment, and requested one. She got it, and the district ran it that same term.
The notice did its job. Nobody broke a rule in either direction. The district was allowed to stop, and the parent was allowed to start it again.
Pause right here and date your next one. I'll wait. Find the eligibility determination, count 3 years forward from whatever date your state counts, write it where somebody will actually look.
One more edge, and it is the one that ends up in hearings. Before a district decides a student is no longer a child with a disability, it must evaluate. The only exceptions are graduating with a regular diploma and aging out, and both of those still owe the student a summary of academic achievement and functional performance, with recommendations on post-secondary goals.
I only know that because Cynthia sat me down with the exit paragraph and made me read the second half out loud.
If you hold one thing from all of this, hold the scene. Assessments are skippable. The review, the notice, the parent's request, and the exit evaluation are not. Professor Iwata, thank you, and the line that stays with me is that the rule permits the skip and never recommends it.
Useful. I'd still run the assessment.
If this made your next triennial less frightening, hit like and subscribe because that is how the next teacher on this deadline finds it. One decision closes the testing question for 3 years. So what would you have to see in the file to sign off on a reevaluation with no testing at all? Take care of your paperwork and take care of the person it is actually about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next desk.